I was dealing with. So I felt like, yes.
Yeah. That's super powerful. That's super powerful, Shay. Thank you so much for sharing. Anybody else want to share? Christiane says in the chat, she says, agreed about the lesson, receiving awareness from it. Yes. Love that. Anybody else want to share? Jenny, go ahead. Okay, we got Jenny and then Shamika. What's up, Jenny?
Oh no, mine will be brief and short. For me, what that song did, it made me realize, because I didn't know the song. I've never heard the song. So I'm into different type of music, so I had no idea what that song was. So I had to really listen to what she was saying. So what it made me realize for me is that I used to be in that space where I felt like, oh, I wish I could change what happened to me so I wouldn't feel hurt. But it made me realize now that I truly don't feel that way. Like I embrace every single crazy experience I had because it got me here. I wouldn't be wanting to heal and be better if I didn't make the wrong decision and all these things. So that's what it made me feel. It made me feel like I don't want to change any of it. I'm grateful.
Yes. I love that. Thank you for sharing, Jenny. Shamika, what's up, sis?
What's up, sis? What Jenny just was saying, I thought about my ex-husband, and I was saying, like it wasn't the time. The time wasn't wasted. In the moment of going through it, I thought it was, but I know that it was necessary because, mind you, I met my ex-husband at 14. We got back together after 20 years, but what I recognized was that my trauma began right before I met him. So he was connected to that. So when the hurt came in from him, I went deeper to the stuff way before him.
Yes.
And so I'm grateful for the experience. And then my shining bright star, Amelia, came out of it after 40 some years of being told I was never going to have a child, but I identified when she said, he took advantage of the love that I had for him. I couldn't talk about it last week, but I wanted to say, you said something prior to the, when you were saying something about after you go through this experience with you're going to start looking at some relationships differently. Some even situationships go be broke up, even all of this stuff. And what with me and my ex, I had to release him out my house on the first, the day of. And I was like, that shit ain't no coincidence. And she said that I done knocked Amelia out with some chamomile. I think that's what I'm gonna do with her every Wednesday. You heard me? Because I done paid my money. I ain't rolling that night yet. But anyway, but I can say it today, so I'm grateful for the experiences and grateful for the pain, because the pain was my motivator to go deeper, so yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all for trusting me to support you in this process. Okay. I love it. And I am forever, ever grateful. My very first time really feeling that song, and I mean, listening to it and like boohoo crying because I was in the same situation. I was actually in high school. I was like a senior in high school. Oh my God, this was so crazy. I was a senior in high school, and my boyfriend at the time, he had already graduated, right? He had already graduated, but we met while he was still in high school, but he graduated. And we were preparing to go to prom, right? We were preparing to go to my high school prom. And one day I'm like pulling up to his apartment. I don't know what's going on. And a girl just so happens to walk out of his apartment as I'm walking up to his apartment. And immediately right there, heart shattered, because I'm like, what the hell? And you would think, well, no, because y'all have been young in love before, right? But I didn't realize how deep that hurt me as a high schooler, as like a 17-year-old going to prom. I did not realize how deeply that affected my heart, you know? And I didn't realize how deeply it affected how I would approach relationships moving forward. Starting as a 17-year-old, you know, when you're young, and we're gonna talk about our youth and love. We're gonna talk about that in another session. But when you're young and you feel those emotions of love and you feel those butterflies, because it is that. Let's not tell kids, oh, it's just puppy love. It's just that. Let's not tell kids that. Let's not tell teenagers that. Because at the end of the day, you feel something that maybe you've never felt before. And you believe in it. And I believed in it. Okay? And when that situation happened, it really affected and shifted my perspective on love. And what it did actually is it made me struggle with trust. Because this was a person who my family absolutely loved. In fact, for prom, since he had already been graduated, whatever, he didn't come from a lot of money. Like, he didn't come from a lot. My mom paid for his suit and all of that so that he can go to prom with me. That's how invested we were into each other. And I saw that, and I had to be like, you're not going to prom with me. We're going to cancel that suit rental, whatever my mama did, we're canceling it. And we're done. And it's funny enough, on prom night, you know, teenagers, prom night, you're hanging out, you're going, doing different things or whatever. He pops up, you know, begging, knocking on my door, knocking on my car door while I'm with my new date. My next date, I ended up taking a guy that I went to church with. His name is Justin, good brother. We used to go to church together. We went to church together for years. He's such a good guy. And he had no intentions of violating me in any ways. He was just going to be a good date. He was just going to be ride or die. He had his own money. He had everything. He was ready. The guy who had the girl walking down the stairs while I'm going up there to see him, knocking on my window. What's going on? What's doing all of this? My first experience with toxic love. With toxic relationships. But what I learned is that, one, no matter how young or old you are, love is real. Those emotions and those feelings are real. And the experiences that you have within your relationships that didn't work out, whether it was due to just not being able to come to an understanding or infidelity or disagreements and arguments and a lack of growth, regardless of whatever had taken place in the relationship, okay, it is important to truly understand that it was all a lesson. So we never want to wish something away. What we actually want to do is really ask ourselves the questions on a very deep, powerful spiritual level. We really, really, really want to ask ourselves, what does this mean? And you know, something that I realized about myself through that situation with him was that he was a handsome guy, very handsome, tall, beautiful brown skin, very handsome, but he had no ambition. He had no drive. He had no willpower, no discipline. And so what I realized that I had actually unconsciously and unbeknownst to me, I had actually settled for him. And so it forced me to ask myself the question, why did I even choose him to entertain? And y'all want to know something that's so crazy about it. That still blows my mind. And I hope that he's somewhere different now. This whole prom thing happened my senior year. I went off to college. Every year that I came back from college, he was still living at his mama's house in the same old apartment, working the same old job or having little jobs here, little jobs there. Even when I graduated and got pregnant with Dream Wise and we had our firstborn son, he was living in the same apartment where I was walking up them stairs and that girl came down the stairs from his house. Okay? So it says a lot. It says a lot about who we are and who we are being when we attract these specific relationships. So a part of the sacrament of love is honoring, embracing even those moments when we were naive, when we were desperate, when we were unaware, unsure, unclear of ourselves, because there's still power in that. There's still power in that. And I learned a major lesson. One of the major lessons that I learned is that I never want to be in a relationship with a person who I can't learn from. I never want to be in a relationship with a person who talks a good talk about all the things that they want, but never pursues it and walks the path towards it. And through that reflection, I also realized that if I say I want something, I have to go and get it too. If I find myself in the same place year after year after year after year, something isn't right, something isn't working, and I have to do something about this. Okay? So I got a juicy question for you all. In those relationships where you was like, I wish I wasn't in love with you. I wish I didn't feel this way. As you, and we're going to take a moment to do this. I'm not going to rush you to do this. We're going to take a moment to do this. But I want you to ask yourself, what reflection did they give you that is a lesson you need to apply in your life now? Because with him, where I first experienced that song of I wish I wasn't, and I was so mad at myself. I'm like, this dude has no ambition. His mama just lets him sit around the house, roll up joints, and play video games. Yes, he's good looking. Yes, he's tall. Yes, he's funny, but he has no drive. He has no vision. He doesn't have something inside of him that says, I want to be better. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to be better. I have been away for college for 4 whole years, and every year I come back, you doing the same thing. I remember I bought my own car after I graduated from college. I bought a Challenger, real sexy car. I love that car. My very own first car that I bought after graduating, a Challenger, gorgeous. And I pulled up on him or whatever, I don't know, just to say, hey, see what's going on. And he was so like, man, damn, and whatever. And his car, he's struggling to get started. Yeah, my car back in the my car back in the shop, and man, I can't seem to da 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 da. Can you do this? Can you da 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 da? And it was those moments where I realized, like, oh, I'm glad that I had this experience with you, because never will I allow myself to stay in a place where I'm not growing. Never will I allow myself to not put forth the effort to become to become different. So as I saw him, so he sees me driving a brand new car that I just bought for myself, and he's still struggling trying to start up this car. He sees me just walked across the stage doing my own thing. And I'm not saying that that school makes me better than anybody. I'm speaking to the amount of energy and effort that it takes to go to school and get that degree. The amount of effort and the intention that it takes to decide that you're going to do something and try to create a better situation for yourself. Okay? My mother even got him a job at her job. That's how we love in my family. I don't know about y'all, but in my family, how we love is if we know somebody needs something and we have a connection. It didn't matter that you had the girl on prom, you know? We let it go. We moved on. I was heartbroken, but I knew one thing: I'm not going to be with you. Not going to be with you. You're not the person for me, whatever. My mom got him a job. Didn't have a job. She got him a job at, she works in accounting. In her job, they had some call centers, availability. She got him a job. She went to the thrift store, bought him all the business casual clothes that he needed, all the pants, all the shirts. She bought him, like, because that's how we love in my family. She bought him at least 5 outfits for him to rotate and go to work and get that job, for him to grow, put him in position. This is just a starting job. You start here, you grow, you evolve, you get better. Put him in position. Do you know, I think, oh, this job is too hard, or I can't do this, ends up quitting the job that my mama got him. So it speaks to the character, but I needed to see that, I needed to experience that, so that now I know who I need to be and what I need to do. Okay? So my question for you all, and I want you to take a few moments to think about this. And for this one, everybody's going to share, including Taryn, including Jeff, Tramel, Christian. Everybody's going to share on this because I think everybody needs to. Okay? What did you learn by reflecting on that past person who that heavy emotion of, I wish I wasn't? You know, sometimes you talk to people, you have engagements with people, but they don't cause you to feel that I wish I wasn't feeling. What she's singing about is something that is deeper. It's something that hits the heart on a very deep way. So I want you all, I'm going to give you, let's say 3 or 4 minutes for you to reflect on that. I want you to figure out what are those qualities of that person who really tapped deeply into your heart. And then when that relationship, when you had to go your separate ways, now that you've been apart for however long, what do you learn from them that you can ensure in your life, traps that you can make sure that you don't fall into? We're going to talk about what some of those qualities are. Take a few minutes and then I will be back. I will tap us back in and we'll talk about it. I'm going to start my timer. Yes, yes, yes. Taryn said, I'm ready, baby. She already got her answer. Yes, ma'am. About one more minute, and then we're going to talk about it so that everybody can get their answers. All righty, go my timer. Oh, no, I don't want to repeat. Cancel. All righty. Taryn said, I'm ready first. Taryn, what's up? What's some of those qualities you realize, in that moment you wish you wasn't engaged with this person who had these qualities, but how do you use that awareness now in your present life? Talk to us.
Well, I'm going to summarize this because it was a very, very, very long relationship with my ex-husband. We met when I was 12, came home to my mother. I met this guy at the party, and can we go to the movies? And so we went on chaperone dates till we were old enough to go out by ourselves. My son came around when I was about 18. There was a lot of infidelity on his part, a lot of breakups. Ended up getting married at 25, and 2 months into the marriage, I said, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. I'm out. I'm out. I spent 13 years doing this. I'm done. So what I realized was I'm very, very forgiving. I always have been. I have a big heart. And that's one of the things I love about myself is the capability to forgive. What I'm not so good at is the letting go. Right? Even when you know this thing is not for you. So I had to learn to let go. And all the infidelity that kept happening, it felt like, why am I not being chosen? Right? And I realized I had to choose me. I had to love me. I had to put into myself what I was expecting out of someone else. So that was like the biggest. So this song, I was like 22 when this song came out. So I'm pretty sure there was something that happened that year.
Yeah.
That kind of correlated to that, between that and Deborah Cox. Nobody's supposed to be here. So it was tumultuous, but I realized I had to let go, and not just, in that mindset of, oh, we're a family, we have a son, and I was like, you know what? I'm not setting an example for my son of what love is supposed to be. So I have to have better for myself in that love department if I'm going to teach him how to love. And it starts with me loving myself.
Very, very powerful. Letting go because you love yourself. Letting go as a form of honoring yourself. Letting go because you are choosing you, baby. When he wouldn't choose, baby, you said, you know what? Well, I'm going to choose. And I'm choosing me. I'm done with doing the wishy-washy love. You here one day, you're gone the next. That's not sacred. It's not sacred. That's not practicing the sacrament of love. But you choosing you, sis, that's the sacrament of love. Because in sacred relationships, that is what happens. It don't matter what we are going through, I'm still going to choose you. That's a part of the sacrament. Even when Dream and I get into it and we disagree and we have an argument, choosing each other. Okay. We still choosing each other. And the answer is yes. So I love that for you. And this is one thing that I want y'all to really understand and start to resonate in your heart. The sacrament of love, the manifestation and the maintenance of love, it starts with you. It starts with you. It starts with how you treat you. It starts with how you feel about you. It starts with you being able to learn, you being open to learn and explore more of you. Right? Let's just be real about it. I got to tell y'all, see what you may have wanted to come, what you wanted. Let me tell you, what you wanted is, okay, yeah, D-Ray, come on here and tell me how to manifest a partner. Tell me how to manifest a woman, how to manifest a man. But what you needed was the understanding that you are the love. You are the sacrament of love. And let me tell y'all what sacrament means. Sacrament means ritual, ceremonial, celebration. And in that moment, Taryn, that was a ritual for you that carries on into all areas of your life. So when you are at work and they trying to overwork you and they want you to choose that job over yourself, now you learn, no, I'm choosing me. It's my lunch break. I'm taking lunch. Okay. They want you to stay later, do extra shit. No, I'm choosing me. I'm done. It's 5 o'clock. I'm done with this. Right. So the sacrament of sacred love, it starts with you loving you and you understanding that every relationship that you've had and every situation and circumstance that has manifested from those relationships is still an act of love if you choose to perceive it that way. So even when Buddy cheated on me, it's still an act of love for me. Because what did I learn? I learned, first of all, I don't want somebody who doesn't have ambition, because what I realize is that your ambition is surrounded by or is driven by your value. Oh, big lesson learned, big lesson learned. And Spirit gave this to me at that time when that happened, because I had to learn that what he was doing was not about me. What your ex-husband was doing, Taryn, was not about you. It wasn't about you not doing this, you not giving him this. Let me just tell you what Spirit is telling me. He had a sex addiction. That's just what it is. That's what Spirit just said. He had an addiction that he was working through. Okay? So that ain't got nothing to do with you. But what you do about his actions, that has something to do with you. The guy who I was dealing with, he literally had an addiction to attention. He needed someone there. He always needed someone there. He always needed someone there. Always. Because he was in a very peculiar, a very different situation. He's an only child. His mother is a lesbian. So that's, only child, mother's a lesbian, and mother doesn't, his mother had no social life, right? Like she ain't getting out like that. Like literally she go to work and she come home. So he wasn't able to explore and have friends and go out and do all of that since he was young. So right when he got to high school and found out that he was attractive, because he was a very attractive brother, right when he got to high school and he found out that he was attractive, baby, it didn't matter who was willing to talk to him. Every girl that he talked to, we all looked different. He didn't have a type. His type was just female. Do you understand? So his actions didn't have nothing to do with me. I was like, oh, you really need a lot of attention. You need that in your life because you weren't receiving that. You're the only child and your mama was always working. Okay? So when we recognize these things, we literally get to see the relationships that we've been in as an act of love, because love heals, love teaches, love helps you to grow. So we need these experiences so that we become who we are destined and designed to be. Let's read what Jenny said, and then I'm going to let the rest of you speak if you want to talk. Jenny says, the last time I felt that way, I learned to be more open with saying what I want. There is nothing wrong with loving someone, even if they are not for me. I thought okay, I don't know what you're saying there, Jenny. It taught me that I am capable. I don't know what you're saying there, Jenny.
Okay, I'm gonna
It
clarify.
taught.
Let me clarify.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Shamika. You was on it. Go ahead, Jenny.
So what I said was, what that experience taught me is that I am capable of loving, and whenever that my person shows up, that I'll be able to love them fully, because that experience, even though at that time I wish it didn't happen, showed me that I am capable of love and vulnerability, and that I can do that.
Yes, yes,
Love
yes.
that.
Love it,
that,
love
Jenny.
it, love it.
So what you're saying, Jenny, let's expound upon it. You're saying that you have found somebody that you was interested in. They caused you to feel some type of way, but for some reason they didn't respond and react the way that you would have liked. And at first, you can clarify for me. At first, Jenny, that feeling was like, damn, like, how you not gonna feel the same way I feel? How you not gonna be in the same space that I am? Well, ain't this some shit, right? You felt like that. But when you flip the coin and you honor the sacrament of love, you realize, wow, I have the capacity to feel.
Yes.
Lovely. Lovely. So in those moments where we're like, I wish I wasn't, I wish I didn't feel this way, there's always a blessing in those lessons. Always. And so we have to train ourselves to start seeing relationships, to start seeing love from that perspective. So let me tell you why this is so good and why this is so necessary. Because best believe when you find that sacred partner, best believe when you find that person who we would say is equally yoked, y'all are in alignment with each other, your souls are divinely matched. There are going to be times when you feel that same way. There have been times where I've boohoo cried over Dreamwise, and I was just like, what is this? Is this what's supposed to be happening? Is this who I'm supposed to be with? Why is this happening? And I'm sure he's felt the same way. I know it. Because no relationship is perfect, and that's just some real shit. There are hard discussions we've had to have where I'm questioning like everything. What is this? What have we created? What do we do? How do we move on from this? Is it possible to move on from this? I wish I wasn't feeling this way. I wish this didn't happen. Da 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 da. But when I'm able to take a step back and focus on the love and focus on the growth and focus on the evolution and focus on the blessing of those hard moments, that's how we're able to grow. So if you are able to do this while you are in your self-love mode, you're able to do it when you get into a relationship. Right now is y'all's time to practice focusing your energy and attention on what you've gained from the situation rather than what you've lost. So that when you find that divine sacred partnership and y'all going at each other's heads, because I'm telling you, it don't matter how spiritual you are, you're going to go at each other's heads. Your shadow selves are going to box. They have to box. They have to duke it out. That's a part of your refinement. That's a part of purging the ego. That's a part of your growth. Now, the level at which you duke it out, now we can talk about if that's healthy or not, but at the end of the day, you're going to have those hard moments. You're going to have hard discussions. Somebody's going to be uncomfortable. Somebody's trauma and shadow self has to show up. Has to. But if you can start priming yourself right now to practice the sacrament of love, the ritual of love, the ritual of relationships, which means having challenges and hard times where you wish you wasn't in this situation, honoring those moments and understand, just like the butterfly and the rainbow and the flowers and the good sex, just like that's a part of the relationship, so is heartbreak, so is disappointment, so is frustration, so is anger, so is arguments. We live in a world of polarity, so you cannot have one without the other. But what you can learn is to create balance and to transmute the poles so that they're not so heavy, so that you're not high one day and so low the next. That's one thing about DreamWise and I. We are pretty consistent. Like we don't have a lot of highs and lows. Like we are on the same page most of the time. Emotionally, we're most of the time we're on the same page. And if we get a disagreement, okay, it never lasts long, because at the end of the day, we come to the conclusion: what do we learn from this? How do we grow from this? What is the value of this? Okay. So you have to start practicing that now, so that when you do manifest your relationship, you're able to remember this. Shay, go ahead and tell us. You said, I'm ready. Go ahead and share with us what's one of those I wish I wasn't emotional times that you had, and what do you take away from it now?
When you were talking about the high school relationship, it was like you were talking about my life, because the same thing happened with me. High school love, a senior in high school, my girls, their dad. We were madly in love. We did everything together. At the time, my parents, they didn't have enough money, to get senior stuff for me. And he was able to help. He helped me with that. And that was, one thing that I really respect him for, because he was looking out for me. But on the other end of it, he did a lot of cheating. And it broke my heart. And while him cheating, I ended up pregnant in high school, my senior year. So I couldn't go to prom because I was big pregnant at the time. So I couldn't go to prom. And when he found out I was pregnant, he broke up with me, because it was something that at the time, I was extremely naive, and he was like, I want you to have my baby. And I was just like, okay, this is going to, keep us together. And that's what happened. And when he found out I was pregnant, he basically, he dumped me. And after I got out of high school, I graduated, had my daughter, he came back because he saw me getting myself together. But when I was in high school, I gave up a lot, because I had an opportunity to play basketball. I had recruiters looking at me, and also too, I was doing art, and one of my art pieces was put in a display. And so I basically, they were going to give me a scholarship, but I turned it down because I was pregnant. And I was like, I can't have a baby and be in college and all of that. So I sacrificed a lot for that relationship, because I loved the man, because we did everything together. I trusted him. And that's where my love was stuck at, because I trusted this man. I did any and everything for him. And I took him back, and I ended up pregnant again. So I had my second daughter with him. And when I had my second daughter, he thought I cheated. And I was like, no, I didn't cheat. And so we had to go through that whole process of, getting paternity tests and all of that. And, we broke up again. And then when that maternity test came, we found out that, my second daughter was his, because he thought that, when I had her, she was dark skinned and she looked identical to me. And my first daughter looks identical to him. And so he thought, well, she don't look nothing like me. I'm like, dude, you're crazy. Because I was a faithful person, and I wasn't going to cheat, because I was extremely in love with this man. And so when that happened, we broke up again, and he continuously, cheated. He cheated. I had to kick him out of, I had got my own place, because he saw me, because I was living with my parents at the time. And so I finally got my own place, and he wanted to come back. And of course I let him come back. He continuously, cheated. And I got fed up with it. I was like, I need to value myself. I'm not going to let this continue on, because I don't want my kids to see that. I don't want them to see that, I'm okay with this. And for them, when they get older, they know that that's not okay, don't accept that. Mm-hmm. And so by me leaving him again, I closed myself off to love. I told myself that I wouldn't give my all to a person ever again. Mm-hmm. And that really hurt me, because this past relationship that I was in, I would say like the last serious 3 relationships that I was in, I wasn't able to do that because I spoke those negative words over my life, saying that I wouldn't ever give my all to a person again because of trust and the cheating. And so that affected me a lot in this past relationship too, that I just recently, broke up with, someone. That issue came up again because I never really dealt with it. I didn't heal from it. And so it always spilled over into other relationships. And so now I'm doing the self-healing. I'm loving myself first. And I tell you, it's a wonderful thing because that love is inside of me. And now it's starting to come out to where I can now share that love with anyone, not just, a partner, but just with a general person, speaking, loving and kind words, because it's in me that I'm able to do that now because I shut it off for 20 plus years, that now I can, start doing that again. So what I learned from it is that self-love is the best love, because once you have that love, you can give it to anyone else, without any second thought about it. It comes naturally. It's natural, and it's not a fake love. It's pure, genuine, real self-love. So yes. Yes.
I love that, Shay. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful testimony, beautiful, beautiful story. And I could feel how deeply that teenage love turned father of your children. I can feel how deeply that affected your heart. And it's funny because we worked together for so long and I've never heard that in depth of that story.
Yes.
At all.
That's been my main issue, is that relationship, because I let it hurt me so badly that I trusted this person. And my love was always stuck with him. And it was like, okay, I need to release that because I'm letting this man run my life still. And it was like, even when you said that, he still lives with his mom, basically, my girls, their father, he still lives at his parents' house. He's been married twice, and he married these women out of spite because he thought that it was going to hurt me. I was like, no, you can't hurt me. I was like, I'm not going to allow you to do that anymore. And so it backfired on him. So now he's back at his mother's house, still in the same situation from high school. And it was like, I have to do better than that. I am better than that. My kids deserve better than that. So it's like, I know I'm better than that. So, and I had conversations with him too, like, you have to let childhood stuff go, because if you don't, it's going to continue on, and then it spilled over into your kids. I was like, I don't want the kids to, walk into that either, because they didn't deserve that. And I had explained that to him. He doesn't understand because he's a man, ego, stubborn.
Well, he's stuck at 15 too.
Yes.
He's stuck at 15 too.
Right.
And so with now this new defined self-love, Shay, who you used to be, who you are right now, would never even accept a man who's questioning the paternity of them children.
Right.
Never. Like, what?
Right.
Oh, since you don't think this, I'm gonna prove it to you. But what me and you got going on, it ain't happening. No. It's done. You're not gonna play me like that. So your level of self-love, even right now, blocks out people who, one, don't know how to trust. That's that. Yes. Because that's his lack of trust. That's because he was a hoe, because he was insecure and was using other women to fuel his security within himself. He projected. But when we get deeper into our self-love, we can see when somebody is projecting a narrative on us that is not accurate.
Yes. Yes.
And we'll put up that mirror, and right when you project, it's coming right back at you.
Yes.
And that's self-love. Self-love is like, I ain't taking no shit from nobody.
Right.
I understand that we're all growing, we're all learning, we're all evolving, but there is a certain point to where even your ignorance will not be accepted.
Exactly.
Even if you're doing something out of ignorance, a lack of self-awareness, a lack of consciousness, we're still going to nip that in the bud. So what you said is so true, Shay. Now that you've developed that level of self-love, it is easy. It's effortless. And because you have that self-love, people who enter your space, either they are going to treat you how you treat yourself, or the relationship is going to fall away.
Yes.
Or the relationship is going to fall away. And even if, y'all, this is so good, listen up. Even if a person doesn't know how to show love to you the way you want it, like your love language, even if they don't know how to give it to you in your love language, a person who genuinely cares to participate in sacred union with you, they'll learn.
Yes.
They'll learn. They'll ask the questions, well, how can I love you? How can I serve you? How do you like to be loved? What makes you feel happy? What makes you feel good? Hell, Dream and I were just having a whole conversation yesterday, and we were talking about love. And I was like, okay, babe, what makes you feel loved? He just said, yeah, you just listening to me. That's it. Just if I ask you to do something, you just do it and know that I have our household best interest at heart. Just that. You know what I mean? So now if he says, babe, can you make that phone call? I'm like, I love you. Yes, I'm calling on behalf of Mental Alchemy, Inc. We're trying to make the Master Student Conference. You know what I mean? Even though for me, that's not necessarily my love language. Okay? That's not necessarily my love language, but that works for him. So I love that story, Shay. I love it, love it, love it. Let's read some of the comments. Tremel says, for myself, I've learned that I don't give myself the opportunity to choose what I want in a relationship. I jumped into making a family at the age of 19. I currently have 4 kids now with her and never understood self-love. If I got into self-love before I started having kids, my circumstances could have been different. Got you. So now at this point, Tremel, how do you make the best of that? And I also want you to know, Tremel, that you are not alone. You know, my younger brother is actually, well, he wasn't 19. He actually jumped into it at about like 22, 23. But him and his wife just separated. They've been separated now for a couple of months. They have 2 children. And my brother absolutely jumped into that marriage. My brother never even had a real girlfriend before. He had one other girlfriend before his wife. One other girlfriend before his wife. One. My brother never had a hoe phase. He never had a phase of dating multiple women, going out. He never had his own apartment. He never did anything like that before becoming a husband. And so obviously, as they got married, they had kids so quickly, he like, damn, I don't know myself. So he feeling depressed. He feeling anxious. He feeling dissatisfied with life. And here's something that I want y'all to know. Here's something that I want you to know, Tremel. It's not her fault. I got to tell my brother, it's not her fault. What were you needing when you entered that relationship? What void was she feeling? The void she was feeling for my brother was, one, he wanted some level of security. He wanted, on some level, he wanted, see, she's 7 years older than him. So I don't know your situation, Tremel. Maybe you and your lady, y'all was probably, teenagers doing y'all's thing, and it led one thing to another. Similar to like Shay, young, in love, and having kids. My brother had already graduated from college. He done played basketball overseas. And when he came home, this woman said, oh, you don't got to worry about getting no job right now. Take your time. It's all good. Come stay with me. 7 years older than him. She cooking. She cleaning. She paying the bills because he ain't got a job yet. She doing all of those things. So he felt obligated to get married because she did all of those things. And he was so naive. He didn't understand she's doing those things because she wants something from you. And that thing that she wanted was that commitment because she was in her 30s. She like, I'm 30 years old, not married, no kids. I got to lock somebody down right now. And my brother, not having no experience in the game, was the person she locked down. And now, after them being married for 2 years, 2 kids, now separated, my brother got his own apartment for the first time right now, y'all. Own apartment for the first time. And you can't tell him shit, y'all. When I tell you, he done hooked up his apartment real nice. He's so crazy, y'all. I wish I had a cup. I called him on FaceTime the other day. He had a cup of like some cognac. He's sitting on his patio listening to music. He like, man, this is a good feeling, man. Damn, this is a good feeling. Me and Dream like, bro, you could have had this feeling like this 3 years ago. Everybody in our family told him, Chris, don't rush into marriage because once you don't understand the level of commitment you are making. We was telling them, we already had 2 kids when he got married. We like, bro, once you get married, that's it. And Tramel, so your experience is very similar to my brother's. No experience. You get that first level of like, ooh, this feels good, and da 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 da, and you just jump off the deep end. But that's okay because you learn through the relationship, you learn through that experience. And so now, Tramel, now you know what it is that you need. What it is that you need from divine partnership. What it is that you need from a woman who you are with, who you are committing to. Okay? And Tramel, a part of this class, what I want you to learn and take away from this is, how do I effectively communicate that? Big deal, huge deal, huge deal. Because even just thinking about my younger brother, him and his wife, they never had hard conversations. They've never talked about trauma. They've never talked about the abuses they've experienced. They've never talked about, they talk about, oh, who's your ex-girlfriend? Who's your ex-boyfriend? Da, 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 da. But they've never talked about those family traumas. What happened with your mama? What happened with your daddy? What happened to you? And if you never are able to have hard conversations like that, where you truly understand each other, where you are actually listening, and when that trauma flares up and they start doing something, you take a step back and say, okay, I know this is your trauma. You don't say that out of your mouth because that's triggering, but you take the moment to respect the fact that this person is acting this way, they're behaving this way because there's unresolved trauma. If you don't have that conversation, when they do something that is crazy and that is triggering to you, you overreact and you go crazy about it too, instead of saying, oh, that's a part of her wounded child. That's that part of her that was abandoned. That's that part of her that was rejected. That's that part of him that always had to fight for himself and fend for himself.
Yeah, you absolutely right. You absolutely right. Yeah, she told me her trauma when we had our first kid, and she was telling me about the trauma that she was raped and everything. And that really got to me. And so that's why I was like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and try to do the family thing. And it was tough after that because she was my first girl. I ain't never dated nobody before her. All I did was play basketball and work at KFC. I ain't really did nothing. So I came in with no experience. Her family and my family was saying, okay, y'all just jumping into something. Y'all don't even know each other. Y'all young. Y'all just in it for the sex and everything. You don't even know each other. And still to this day, we got to learn the traumas through both our sides of the family. And we got to learn it by, well, I learned it by observing. But we never had no real deep conversations like what you were just mentioning.
Wow, Tramel. First of all, it's good to hear your voice. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. But yeah, Tramel, that's such a big deal. And I say this to all of y'all. You have to be able to talk about those things, because if you cannot, when you get triggered, because you will get triggered, understand it's not your big grown ass self right now that's being triggered. It's little baby you.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that about the person you are in a relationship with, you end up blowing up when it could be a moment for you to hold that sacred space to allow them to heal and to show them that what they are feeling right now is not the 5-year-old experience. This is a new experience. This experience just reminds you of when you are 5.
Right.
Okay. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you are moving forward and as you're exploring yourself and exploring your relationships, it's important to have those conversations. For example, me, I had to talk to Dream about my father really not being there, because even though Dream was always there, I always was kind of, at the beginning of our relationship, I was kind of 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I wasn't fully invested like I needed to be, even though my heart wants to be there and my mind wants to be there too. Both of those parts of my being really wants to be there, but there's this part of me, this inner child part of me that keeps on like not fully trusting, not fully leaning in, just kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And that was because of my abandonment issues with my father. So whenever we would get into a disagreement and I would say something like, I don't got to take this, I can be by myself. And I would say things like that, he would have to take a deep breath and understand where that's coming from. What I was speaking at that time was not the deep and true desire. The deep and true desire that I have and that I had at that time for him and I was for us to go through everything together, for us to grow together, heal together, whatever. But my trauma made me react in situations like that where I felt like my back was up against the wall. My trauma, my automatic response was, I don't have to do this. I saw my mama raise 3 kids by herself and we turned out fine. But that's just it. We turned out fine when we could have been, I mean, I could only imagine the next level person I would be if I didn't experience that yearn and that desire for my father. Okay. I wouldn't have needed so much external validation. I wouldn't have needed to be liked so much. I wouldn't have shape-shifted myself to fit into these certain rooms if that wound from my father wasn't there. Like I told y'all, I just told y'all this last week when me and my homegirl went to the bar and Dream was there. The only reason why I was giving these other people my attention was because I had that wound that needed validation. And at the time, Dream didn't know that I had that wound. Okay? So our argument was through the roof because he's like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But as I've been doing my healing work, I realized I was able to reflect and say, oh, I did that because I just wanted to fit in. I did that because, you know, my dad didn't come when he said he was going to come. And this made me feel like I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy. I wasn't beautiful enough. I wasn't likable enough. I wasn't worth the extra effort. Right? So that stuff has a very big deal. It means a lot in our relationships. And so Tramel, for you right now, I want you to assess what your childhood experiences were and what type of person you need in your life to support you in that healing and that transformation. So like for me, again, I needed a person like Dream who is absolutely committed. And his commitment stems from a deep level of self-discipline. If he wants something, nothing's going to stop him from getting it. And I just so happen to be a part of that desire. So I have somebody that is committed and that is willing to do the work with me. That's what I needed based off of my wound. And so since you, in your past, Tramel, you had chose relationships without knowing it ain't even about what you want, it's about what you need. But because you had chose relationships, just because you feel like you had to, especially with her having the wound that she had, you felt like, oh, well, you know what, girl, I'm gonna show you that you worthy, you worthy of love and commitment and things like that. Because you made that decision based off of what she had going on. Okay. Now it's time for you to reflect on yourself and say, what do I actually need? What do I need? And you can base the qualities of a person that you need based off of some of the things that you may be lacking, based off some of the things that you need to increase in. Okay?
Okay.
I want you to spend time thinking about that, all right? Spend time thinking about that because that's so huge. So let's say, Tramel, if you lack patience, you're going to need somebody who has some. That's just it. Let's say you don't really know how to really nurture in the way that maybe your children may need to. You're going to need somebody who knows how to fill that space. You're going to need somebody who knows how to hear children, hear teenagers, and be able to give them exactly what they need. Let's say you sometimes you have a hard time making decisions. I'm just throwing random things out there. I don't know if it's facts or not, but take what applies. Let's say you have a hard time making decisions because you always considering everybody else's opinions and thoughts, right? So you like, ooh, what do I want to do? What I don't know. What should I do? What is he going to think? What is she going to think? Is it good for him? Is it good for? Let's say you're doing something like that. You need somebody that's going to come in and say, babe, what's actually best for you? Because what's best for you, and when you are taken care of, everything else around you is going to take care of itself.
Yeah, that makes sense because I've been doing a lot of people pleasing, just pleasing others for no reason, not even caring about myself.
Exactly. And I heard that from you when you expressed how you got together with the mother of your children. Okay. So we take it as a lesson. We take it as a blessing, right? I know you probably had that. I wish I wasn't so inexperienced, so gullible, so this, so that, because, just because you and somebody get pregnant at 19 don't mean you have to build a family together. And if you do decide you're going to build a family together, it's not something you have to jump into. You can ease your way through it and you can say, okay, let's take this day by day by day by day by day, and we'll see what comes from it. We'll see if we're actually compatible. You know what I mean? But sometimes when we want to please people, we'll do things that maybe our heart wasn't all the way into. So you need somebody that's going to help you to stand on your shit. You know what I mean? And trust me.
Oh, you're on fire right now.
That's too funny, Tramel. I love it. And you want to know something, Tramel? There are some badass women out there who are going to uplift you and who are going to affirm to you your greatness, your deservingness, your worthiness. But you got to start practicing it right now so that you send out a vibration, you send out a resonance that says, I need a woman who's going to push me forward, not hold me back. I need a woman that is going to encourage me to pursue what I desire, not only make me focus on what she got going on. You get to say that, but it starts by you practicing it, by you making that deliberate choice in this moment.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate you for sharing so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Let's see what Christiane says. She said, I learned to honor, value, and invest in myself first. And by letting him go, it made me realize that I can receive the love that I deserve because I finally chose me first. No longer feel attached to him because I realized I was attached to the drama and the toxicity. But when I started doing spiritual work and meditating more, it was so much easier to let go because I connected more with me and I realized what I really like, and it was not him. Ain't that the best thing? Come on. That is the best thing ever is when you can look at a person and be like, it wasn't even you. It was the shit that came with you. It's not even you. So often, this is so good, y'all. So often we attach love to the person. It ain't even the person. It ain't even the person. So this is why, even when you're doing your meditation and your manifestation and you're visualizing yourself in a happy union, stop seeing people's faces. Just stop seeing people's faces, because it's not about the person. It's not about them. They are just going to reflect to you. I see you done turned your camera on, so I'll allow you to speak, Christiane. What's up, sis?
I have a little noise in the background, but yeah, okay, great. Because I was attached kind of like a high school love too. It was high school, college, going into college. The only person that I really fell deeply in love with, I saw signs of my father, like where he basically like showed me abandonment. Like we were supposed to meet up. He lied. He didn't meet up with me. So then I invested so much time and love and energy into him. And then he ended up choosing someone else, but still wanting me and stringing me along in the picture. So I still had that mindset of like old love and connected myself to him. But all of a sudden he had like, I say narcissism, but he had this thing where he would just reject me and expect to get my attention. And I just stopped. And I was like, there were days where I would think about him and wanting to reach out. And I was like, nope, higher self was like, we're not doing this. So I deleted him. And then I realized how much growth and healthiness I feel. And I think I needed to do that in order to allow the other loved one come in, because I was just stuck on him. So yeah.
That's so beautiful. And y'all want to know something so crazy is that our minds don't operate off logic and reasoning. Like we attach things in our minds. So for you, rejection and love, there was an attachment there. Oh, they're doing this, they must love me. And maybe that happened because whatever happened with your father, he would probably still say, oh, baby, I love you, but not show up. Baby, I love you, but not show up. So your mind said, oh, love and rejection, they're one and the same. My dad loves me, but he doesn't show up. My dad loves me, but he doesn't provide in the way that he needs to. So our mind makes these crazy connections, and you're like, what the hell is this? Why do I keep on going after a person who is choosing not to be present with me? It's because your mind feels that that is love. So we literally have to do some rewiring. We got to disconnect those two things and make it clear within our being that these two things do not go together. Rejection and love, they don't go together, you know? And so when you decided that you were going to separate and take a step back, you were making the decision, I'm no longer going to have this attachment to rejection and love. That's what you did. And your body, that's like on automation, is going to want to keep saying, but it wants that, it craves that because that's what it's used to as love. Another great example of this that doesn't necessarily have to do with relationships per se, but a young lady in our Sacred Sister Circle who I love, she says, anytime she starts something new, guilt and shame is directly connected to it. So she literally told the story a few weeks ago. She says, every time I want to do something new, every time I feel inspired to embark on a new venture, right when I get started, my mind starts telling me things like, you should have done this already. You should know this already. Why don't you know this already? Why are you so late to this? Her mind starts doing all of that. And she had this aha moment like, oh shit, new things and guilt are connected. And so we all have things like that where you're like, I don't know where this is coming from or why this is actually happening, but that's just how complex our minds are based off of how we organize things in our heads based off of those childhood experiences. So you are learning right now to detach love from abandonment and rejection. Detaching it. And also, so for you yourself is going to be, when you do have love in your life, how can you be present? how can you not, be on the sidelines, kind of just waiting for something to happen so you don't fully invest? Because you're waiting on the rejection. You're waiting on the abandonment. You're expecting those things. You know what I mean? So it's a very, very powerful thing. I know that I wish I wasn't emotion is so heavy. It's like, what? But we have this connection. I wish I wasn't in this. But the beautiful thing about it is that you were able to make the connection of, oh, him continuously not showing up continues to draw me in for some weird, crazy reason. And when he doesn't show up, he expects me to show up even more fully for him. He expects me to be even more present for him. But the reason why he has that expectation is because there is something in your energy that says that's what it is. Think about it. When kids, for this happened to me, my mom always told me this story. Every time my dad was about to leave, I'm always holding on his leg like, Daddy, please, no, don't leave. Take me with you. Please, please, please. I'm just crying. Please take me with you. Please take me with you. And my mama said that I did that so much that my mom offered to my dad. She said, she clearly wants to be with you. Let's do joint custody officially. You have her 3 days out of the week. I have her 4 days out of the week. And then next week we flip. I have her 3 days. You have her 4 days. My dad rejected that idea. Okay. But that didn't, even though he rejected that idea, that didn't mean that I was still like, daddy, 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 daddy. Okay. So now you are learning, oh, if they want to go, baby, we let them go. Because that ain't love. That ain't love. But we also realize that it ain't about you. I learned that lesson through, I had a phone call with my dad. It was when I was pregnant with KJ. I was having a lot of emotions because, when you're pregnant, you're emotional. And I was just like, you know what? I got to call my daddy and talk to him about this before I have this baby. Like, I just have to do this. And it was because Dream and I were doing a lot of healing work. And this was when we were starting to kind of really understand that I had a deep abandonment wound. And so I called my dad one day. I remember vividly, I'm driving in my car, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, hey, Dad, I just wanted to call you and talk to you about some things that I was feeling. The realest conversation I had with my dad. I don't believe any of my brothers have ever talked to him in this way. But I called him and I said, you not being there when I was a kid, that really hurt me. Like, I've had so much healing that I'm doing and that I had to do just because I wanted to be with you and around you so much, but you weren't there. And of course, at first he starts blaming my mom. I wanted to be there, but your mama, she loved to argue. She loved to fight. She's so combative. We couldn't just figure it out. Every time I wanted to get you, she always wanted to start some shit. And of course he was blaming. And I was just like, but Daddy, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not here to get why you're blaming my mom. I'm just here to tell you how I feel. And then finally, towards the end of the conversation, he kind of said something like, baby, I always wanted to be there for you. I always wanted to be there with you. I always just, man, I just love you so much. But me and your mom, we got together so young. She was my first love. I didn't know myself when we had you. I was starting to get to know myself when we had your brother, and it just didn't work out between us. And in and not working out, we were fighting too much. We were doing too much. And I didn't want y'all to be seeing that or experiencing that and so on and so forth. So I just decided to stay away. And I'm sorry for that. That probably wasn't the best option. But that's what I thought was the best option at that time to avoid us fighting all the time. And so when he said that, of course, it didn't instantly click in my mind that I wasn't the problem, because these beliefs are so deep rooted. At some point, they are in your blood. They're physiological, like literally it's so deeply ingrained that you feel like it's you. that caused the rejection or that caused the abandonment? Why am I not liked? Why am I not well received? And I'll be honest with you, Christiane, this is something that I'm still working on today. Except in this realm now, it's not necessarily in my relationship with Dream. For me personally, if I'm being honest, it's my relationship with social media. It's my relationship to YouTube, my relationship to Instagram. Like there are times where I literally hold myself back from posting stuff because I'm like, what if they don't receive it well? What if they don't like what I have to say? What if the love that I'm putting out is not reciprocated? And that all stems from my father. So I'm constantly learning that this was not my burden to carry. And so it's the same thing for you. No matter how much he blames your mother, these are the decisions that he made. And so now you get to choose. And this is the choice that I've been making. This is the thing that helps me to keep putting myself out there, is the fact that I like me. Right? The fact that I'm not going to abandon me. If it's something that I need, I'm going to make sure I have it. I'm not going to reject me. When I look in the mirror, it don't matter what extra bump, what extra roll, what extra stretch mark. It don't matter if I'm feeling myself that day. I'm not going to speak negatively about myself or hold on to negative thoughts about myself. I'm not going to do that to myself. And so the more I develop that, the more, the less impactful that wound of abandonment and rejection actually is. Super powerful stuff. Now, we've come to the end of class. Jeff, did you get to share? I know you wrote something Did I read for you in the thing? Shamika, did you get to share as well?
No, I didn't share.
All right, Jeff, let's go.
Oh. Well, for me, it was my relationship with my son's mother. A relationship that was based on lies from the beginning on her end. You know, I had just came out of a 5-year span of being single. And so, you know, I thought, because all the relationships before that, I was this faithful guy and all this type of stuff and everything. And I, you know, and I had done been single for about 5 years. Then I got a relationship with my son's mother. And it was a long distance for like the first year or so. And, you know, and I kept catching her in lies and all type of stuff, whatever. But long story short, we ended up living together. We had a child, but, you know, the relationship was horrible. I mean, it had amazing moments because she was way younger than me, but, you know, she taught me things. I went new places, things like that, and we had a child. So I held on to that so hard, you know, and my mind, you know, with fast forwarding, you know, now we in this toxic relationship to where it's just like we both are just unfaithful. But I wasn't physically cheating. I was online doing things that was with women that wasn't required to be. Well, that's technically cheating, you know what I'm saying? But my mind at that time, I thought because I wasn't physically going out cheating with these women, that I can't lose my relationship. Because, you know, she would catch me online having these conversations with women and things like that, you know, and I always catch her cheating or talking to guys. So in my mind, I thought this was just a phase. You know, she's young, I'm, you know, 30 or whatever. I'm still young. So I thought maybe we were just going through a phase or whatever and we'll move through it and or whatnot. So I'm just like, in my mind, I really just felt like, you know, this is my longest relationship. It's been 4 years. We got a child together. We at each other's neck. So I really just thought, you know, it was a phase. I'm not going out physically cheating. So, you know, I just thought, you know, whatever. But I became super like toxic in the relationship, like doing stuff that I never would have saw myself doing, you know, and because it was just, you know, her lies just kept getting just out of hand, like everything that even, it was just crazy. But, you know, looking back, like I could really see, I felt like looking back now, like I said, I wish I was never in love, because I could really see her in moments that when we around her family or people I didn't know or guys or whatever, I can literally sit there and watch her putting herself out there, you know, to be seen, bending over in front of men and stuff. I'm watching it. I'm watching with my own eyes, and I'm suffering on the inside, because when I say something to her, it's an argument. I'm crazy. I'm wrong. You know, so it was like suffering for me, because it's like I was so in tune with her, like I can know everything. I could feel it. I could see it. So it was just like torture for me. You know what I'm saying? So I hated to be in love, but I did never want to leave the relationship. And, you know, and then it came to the point where we both just kept, you know, it was, the relationship was dead. But I was so, looking back now, I thought being in love like that so hard was a good thing. But now, knowing what I know now, just listen to everybody's story now, learning and getting downloads, it's like, no, had serious abandonment issues. You know, so it made me love the way that I did love, but it wasn't a healthy love. You know, and knowing what I know now about self-love and all the things that I done researched, that I done learned now, it's just like, you know, I started crying, see her listening, like, well, damn, I feel like I done wasted 6 years, because I'm still having, it's been 6 years since we've been together, and it's like, nigga, you really ain't did no work. Because I'm sitting here visualizing, I can still see her doing what she did, and I started crying. So it's like, well, damn, this still affecting you, so you haven't really done no healing from that relationship. But she's like my best friend now, though. We have, you know, we like best friends. We have an amazing co-parental relationship. You know what I'm saying? But I still physically, I guess emotionally, still attached to her.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, just listening to everybody and just thinking back, just like, it was horrible, you know. And I guess I've been running from relationships, because it's like, I don't want to be this jealous man. I don't want to be able to be, you know, go through those same things that I did experience, you know, in that relationship. It's like a nightmare. And I don't want to become that person that I was again, you know, because I became somebody that I didn't recognize, you know, and that whole, and you know, right. And it was just thinking back right now, we're just like, wow, 6 years done went by and I didn't deal with none of that shit. Because I don't know, you always hear people say reflect on this, but I was never taught how to reflect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have to learn how to sit back and just really, you know, I guess think about, what did this relationship do to me? How did, you know, just like how you had us do, you know, it's like, well, damn, I never do that. You know,
well, that's why you here, brother. That's why you here.
Right. So it all kind of, I kind of got to like, it kind of made me mad. It's like, damn, like, you don't waste a lot of time, because on this spiritual journey, I was learning other stuff. You get like, you get excited about all the stuff to do, but it's like the real work was this.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like, man, that relationship, man, it's just like, and I didn't realize that, you know, just being so in tune with the person, like I was just so in tune, like it just made, I was suffering, because I could see everything she would do, and it was just like, but you know, it made me, that's like, that song really made me feel like I just, you know, don't want to be that sick.
So let me pause you, because the thing in your mind of, I don't want to be that, I don't want to be that, the fact that you continue to say that means that you actually probably need to be that. And here's what I mean. You have to change your perspective, because what I'm hearing is that you were not a jealous guy. See, y'all, we let, oh, come on, Spirit. You have let this lady tell you that you were a jealous guy, and you believed it, and you made yourself into a jealous guy. When what you really were and are is an intuitive guy. So when she's flaunting around, putting herself out there, bending over, you can feel and see clearly what she is doing, and it makes you feel some type of way. And it should. If she is in a committed relationship with you, she shouldn't be flaunting and flossing around trying to get attention. So if you are bothered by that, you are well within your rights to be bothered by that. But she programmed you to make you feel like you being bothered about that and you expressing yourself about that makes you a jealous guy, makes you a toxic man. Instead of her being able to reflect on her shit and say, you know what? I am looking for attention. I do have these wounds. I do have these needs for validation. Instead of her being able to reflect on that and accept that about herself, it's easier to project it on you and say, no, you're making that up. That's all in your head. And you allowed yourself to believe that. So a part of why you cannot let it go is because you believe the words that she said about you. A part of what's still making you so emotional about it is because you still believe that the things she said about you is true and they're not.
Right.
It's not true. And it's very similar to what I told y'all at the beginning. When I was out at that bar, this was Dream and I weren't in a committed relationship at that time. But at that time, he got frustrated and he deserved to be because I came there with him. And so my attention and my focus should have been with him. And I had to admit, you know what, I was tripping. I was in a psychosis and I didn't even realize that I was acting like a child. I was a little girl still seeking and searching for the attention that I didn't receive from my father, even though I had somebody in my life who was ready and willing to give it to me. So I had to make peace with that. I had to take responsibility for that. But a lot of people don't want to look at those pains and those traumas. They would rather blame you and say you making things up. What we call that is gaslighting.
Right.
And you've been believing the gaslighting and you've been believing it for so long, where if you just spend time thinking about it and realizing it, because you're telling us right now that you saw what you saw. And what you saw was real. And you were very in tune with her. You can feel her energy. This is a real thing in relationships. So do not deny yourself that truth because you're clouding your judgment with this idea of I was a jealous man or I was a toxic man. I'm not saying that you did not have toxic moments. I'm not saying that you probably didn't react in an unhealthy way. You probably did, but you're not reacting in an unhealthy way to what she's doing, right? You're reacting in an unhealthy way to how she's gaslighted you around what she was doing. Because now you feel crazy. Now you feel like, damn, okay, maybe I'm tripping then. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm tripping. I'm crazy. I'm jealous. Damn, I'm jealous. I don't like that. And so you start having this whole internal battle in your mind about you being a jealous man. And now comes with that shame, guilt, and fear of love.
Right.
Fear of healthy relationships. When we did your reading, all the cards came out that said you are an intuitive man and you understand women. But if you get so one of the things that you take away from this, instead of focusing on all of the negative qualities that were brought out of you in that relationship, because best believe, like I just said, even in your next manifestation of a relationship, there's still going to be some shadow boxing. That's going to be there. But now you don't hold on to it and beat yourself up about it. You and the person that you are in a relationship with, they actually hold space for you to do the healing. They don't expect for you to just stay calm every single time y'all are talking about something heavy. It's okay if you kind of raise your voice a little bit, but then you catch yourself and you bring yourself back. That's a part of the learning process. Okay? So the right partner is going to give you the space to grow. So do not limit yourself and be in fear of manifesting love in relationships because you're afraid of making a mistake. You need the relationship so that you can make the mistake and actually become better. But to start right now, a major takeaway that I want you to really sit with and meditate on is, wow, When I get into a relationship with a woman and I spend time with a woman and I get in tune with her, I can sense her. I know what's going on inside of her. And women love this. Women need this. Because when a woman gets anxious and stuff like that, and a man is able to say, babe, you hungry? You want to go get something to eat? Dream told me yesterday, it was so good. We were driving in the car. He was like, yeah, babe, I think when you go home, you should just hop in the tub. Because he's in tune. And I needed that at that time. Without me saying it, he just could feel my energy and tell that I needed that. So you have to take pride in having that ability to tune in and give a woman what she needs. And so the I wish I wasn't for you is, we don't want to wish that you weren't intuitive. We don't want to wish that you weren't in tune. But what we take away from it is, even in situations where the conversation in your relationship is not going in the way that you desire, understand that a lesson that you take away from it is that you can take a deep breath, that you can breathe, and that you can hear each other out, and you can communicate, or you could even agree to disagree, and you don't have to hold on to it. Okay. So I feel like the residue that's left there is because you still have some judgment and some sadness about who you were in the relationship, but you're focusing on the wrong aspect. You're focusing on the wrong side of the coin. Okay. You're focusing on the wrong side of the coin. So I want you to flip that side of that coin over and understand that a lot of times when people don't want to face themselves, they will project things and say anything to you to make you feel insecure about yourself. You'll say something that you see that's happening, that you know is happening, and they will, but you did this, and but you did that, and but you did that, but you this, you that. Will do all of that to get you self-conscious, to lower your self-confidence, to make you insecure, to make you feel less than, so that they can continue to manipulate you. You have to understand that that is a real reality that happens in so many relationships. So let's not make this about you. Don't make that experience about you per se. It's not saying that you are a good or a bad person, but it does give you perspective on how to move forward. And now you in the chat talking, but that's exactly what happened. Oh, I already know. I'm telling y'all, spirit channels to me, downloads to me, everything that comes out of my mouth while I'm talking to y'all. Okay. So in this moment right now, you have to say, that wasn't me. That was her projection onto me to make herself feel comfortable and to make herself feel better than. That's it. Okay. So that'll help you to detach. Shamika, we on you, sis. You shaking your head?
Man, this has been good. I just learned, not to be with, I don't want to be in relationship with nobody that's not accountable for their actions. Exactly. I don't want to be in relationships with nobody that don't want to better themselves, and that I can't force or make nobody else change. And I have to focus on me. When you were saying that stuff, I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. My ex came to stay with me for that little bit. And, he was like, well, I don't want to do this and I don't want to learn this. And I was like, see, that's the shit right there. I don't want, and I don't have to tolerate no more. Not tolerate. Now, I don't even think it's just tolerate. Be in relationship. He said this one thing to me. He said, well, everybody ain't healed. I said, yeah, you're right. And what I realized is that when you trauma bound and when you start healing, the ones that's still in a trauma, that's still rehearsing it, ain't liking your ass healed. And they like, who the hell you think you is? And you think you better than. No, I'm not trying to be better than. I just want betterment inside of me. I want to release the baggage. And I think, even with my I knew my husband had some trauma stuff, but like I didn't learn about it until like after we had got married. We had been together a couple of years, and then he was telling me, stuff, and it's like he never wanted to unpack that, and it was like it ain't nothing I can do. I know in the marriage, I was like, you need to do this, you need to do that, because I wanted the betterment. We had a child, and I knew our history together, and I knew that we both had traumatic experience. And if we gonna choose to heal it, then our marriage was gonna be able to be successful. But once the one stopped healing, it was inevitable that it wasn't gonna last, because what I've learned is that in a relationship, we both have to be working on ourselves. I had to learn I can't be working on his ass, and that was the thing he said when he came to stay that time, that little time. And he was like, I said, look, I'm just telling you, I ain't trying to fix, manage, or control you. You do whatever the hell if you don't want to, but this is what I'm doing for me. And he was like, well, hell, if you would have been like this in the marriage, we wouldn't have never got divorced. And I was like, and I was so grateful that I didn't have to go in for the jugular and say, nigga, did you forget all the shit you done did? And I was like, oh my goodness. And even when it came to the point where I had to release him from here, Spirit had just been telling me, everything was still necessary, your heart. And when that song was on, because Spirit had told me a few days ago, like, you ain't finna shed another motherfucking tear for him. Not out this relationship. You didn't share, because now I can still love you, but I can detach from you, because today I love myself more. I don't have to be I don't have to keep mourning on it. But I noticed the other day, I ate a whole bunch of crap. I've been trying to juice and all this, eat right and all of this stuff. And then I ate a whole bunch of stuff. And I was like, Spirit, what the hell? I done ate 3 peanut butter jelly sandwiches. I was like going in so later, feeling miserable. So I'm like, last night, I'm like, Spirit, what's up? What's going on? Shamika, you are grieving. Because like what Spirit told me, like when he leave here this time, like you ain't loaning him no money, you ain't doing this, because he don't value you. Like what I used to think was like he was the only person that really, really loved me. Spirit had to tell me he ain't love you. He liked that outer appearance of you, what you looked like. But once you start cleaning that shit up in the insides, his insecurities start coming out, and he wasn't wanting to change. And so I was like, when he told me that, so it's not that I even blocked him on my phone. He asked me today, but we have a child together. So, but Amelia has a tablet. You can communicate with her. But like now, I'm just at a Spirit said, enough is enough. Like you extended what you extended, and it's still what it is. But I did it out of love, and I can release him out of love. I still don't wish no harm on you, but I can no longer allow you to hold on. Just I can't allow it. If he's taking up that space, and this the thing, like we ain't had no sex. Why was it? It wasn't even, because I'm like done with that. Like if I don't, and it's just like I just gotta let that relationship go. Sometimes them relationships, we just wanna, okay, well, I wanna still hold on to it, but it's like, no, Shamika, that's a weight that's holding you back. That's another way, even though it's not in a sexual manner, but energetic. I love from my heart. Like we got history together, and it's just like you can still love him. It was raining. Wow. Now he's sleeping in his car. And Spirit, like, allow him to have his own experiences. You can, and I'm like, but what I done told you. Now, when Spirit tell me, okay, you gotta have your, because you didn't You didn't value the situation that was given to you, you know? And it's just like, you know, I'm just grateful that I'm allowing myself to love me, you know, and choosing to, you know, and another question I asked Spirit, I was like, I can be doing good, you know, doing my healing work, doing my spiritual work, and then I fall off. And it's like, that's your relationships that you didn't have, stemming from my mother, stemming from my father, all those important relationships that you had, like that you felt was supposed to be there for you, they let you down in some form of a way, and you still ain't healed that stuff completely yet. And I'm like, oh my goodness, some more stuff. So yeah, anyway, this has been really good deal.
That's why you need yourself right now.
Yes.
You don't have you're filling your cup right now. And so with him, there's been like this, I think of it like a leech, right? I think of it like a leech where it's like they just slowly just sucking the blood and sucking the life force out of you. Or a parasite, that's another word to use, a parasite. They just feeding off of your nutrients, even if it's just through conversation, even if it's just through all of that, you know what I mean? They feed, okay? So right now, as you are deciding that you're going to release that, all of the blood, all of the everything that he was taking away from you, you get to fill yourself up with, so that those mother wounds, those father wounds can be healed. Because if you don't have the energy to put into that, because you're giving it to him, right? Unconsciously, it's not a conscious thing where you're saying, I'm just going to give him my energy. That ain't how it works. But when you're thinking about him, you know what I mean? When you're on the phone with him, when you're trying to problem solve with him, when you're trying to do all of those things, that's how that happens, okay? That's how that happens. So hold on real quick, replay. That's how all of that happens. And so when you decided he got to have his own experience, and I'm going to let it be what it's going to be, okay? I'm going to let it be what it's going to be. When you make that decision, now all of the unconscious and conscious energy that you put towards him, you get to bring back into your being and use it for your healing and use it for your power. And I want to tell you, Shamika, you are such a freaking powerful speaker. I'll be so entertained when you talk. I just be laughing. It just makes me smile just listening to you talk. It's so full of love and power and animation. It's just so beautiful. You really have a gift of storytelling. So keep that in mind as you are moving forward through life, because I literally enjoy listening to you. Okay. So that's our time, family. Look, your work for this week. First of all, y'all need to make sure. Yes, Taryn, I love what you said. Taryn said Sandra Rollo's meditation. Y'all need to make sure y'all doing that Sandra Rollo's meditation. She does have a lot of meditations about cord cutting and releasing and things like that. Also about karmic relationships. So all you have to do when you go on YouTube, type in Sandra Rollo's, and you're going to see so many different meditations that work. I listen to her meditations maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and I meditate every day. So her meditations work. So figure out which one works for you. Either the karmic release one may work for you, or the cord cutting one may work for you, or the energetic light shield one may work for you. But she has a lot of powerful meditations that will work for all of us. So thank you so much, Taryn, for that recommendation, girl. You are on it. I love it. All right. So this week, we are focusing on embodying those qualities that we talked about today. Okay. The specific qualities that were specific to you. So like Taryn, we're working on choosing you. Tramel, we're working on making decisions that are in alignment with what you need. Asking yourself, what do you need first? Jeff, we're working on remaining intuitive, trusting that intuitive power, making sure you're doing some of those meditations for releasing and understanding that the projections that she was placing on you. And let me tell you something so good. She didn't do it on purpose. Okay? I don't want you like, this bitch done gaslighted me. No, she didn't do it on purpose. But when people don't know how to put up a mirror to their own face and see their own shit, their only response is to project and gaslight. So that's one of the ways that forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Jenny, this week, you are just expressing your love. You're showing your love. You're saying, I love you to people, giving people compliments. You're just putting yourself out there, allowing yourself to just be seen in a very beautiful way. Christiane, you are just literally showing up for yourself. Every day you're looking in the mirror saying, damn girl, I love you. Damn girl, you're fabulous. Anytime you need something, let's say it could be something as simple as you at work and you got to use the bathroom, but maybe you in a meeting. Don't abandon yourself and say, okay, I'm just going to hold it for 5 more minutes. No, you get up and put up that finger like you in church and go to the bathroom. You're not going to abandon yourself because you love yourself. That's just a simple way. If you know you've been feeling dehydrated, you've been feeling thirsty, you're going to be there for yourself. You're going to make sure that you have all the water that you need. She said, thank you. I've done that. I stopped, but stopped. I say, give thanks. Yes. See, that spirit be channeling these things to me to tell y'all stuff like that, just to give you a reminder of what that looks like on a very simple, small scale. That may seem small, but spiritually is huge. Okay, spiritually is huge. And then Shay, you're kind of doing the same thing with just the self-love is the best love, constantly reminding yourself and doing things that bring you pleasure, doing things that bring you pleasure. And best believe, baby, if anybody is coming with some energy that does not align with self-love, baby, we're washing our hands with it. We're washing our hands with it. And Shamika, you wash your hands with it too, baby. You said, what do I need today? What do I need right now? How do I nurture myself right now? And then also being patient with yourself as you are in this process of calling back all of the love and all of the energy that you've given to him. You're calling that back into your space. And I want all of you actually, because we've all had these heartbreaks where we wish we wasn't in that situation. I want all of us in our visualizations before we go to bed, just to visualize that love coming back to you. Visualize you coming back to you. Visualize you coming back to you. Okay? That's our time. I'm going to email you all with this video. If this was absolutely powerful, thank you, Taryn. Taryn, drop the link in the chat for that Sandra Rolos. Love it. Thank you, sis. You on it. If this was absolutely powerful for you, do me a quick favor. Just shoot me an email and say, this was my favorite part of the day, okay? I would love to hear that from you. I'm so grateful to serve in this very sacred space. Thank you all for participating. My jaws are hurting because I've been smiling so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get off of here, okay? Y'all have a great, blessed night. Get you some good rest, and I will see y'all next week.
Love you, sis. Thank you.
Yes,
Love you all.
Love you all. Have a good